Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois. So we are just over a week into March, which means we aren't too far away from the ending of filming for Superman and Lois's, fourth and final season, with them set to wrap up around, middle to late April. I'm not sure if there have been any delays on set that would have caused a later end date from what was originally scheduled. I think it was April 21st from memory. That's the date that's sticking in my head. But I don't know if there's any delays that have happened. I know there was extreme snow or something, and maybe even some rain that might have caused a bit of trouble, but at least nothing notable, like a tornado or something seems to have happened that would have, caused a massive delay. Otherwise, that most likely would have been reported. But anyway, while we know while we know that they aren't too far away from the end of filming, there hasn't been this ridiculous amount of information or set photos from the show, as they seem to not have filmed in any sort of major public areas that, people would come across just by walking around and stuff this season, though that could change in the coming weeks or two based off some news that came out over the past week or so that we'll bring up in this video. But yeah, we're still waiting on an official release date, but I guess it's not too much of a worry, as we know it's going to be around that end of the year period, around the fall time, so somewhere from around September to October sometime roughly, that we will get the final season premiere for Superman and Lois. But while we wait for that to happen, as well as possibly some news from set, mainly some set photos possibly, we did get a new somewhat major casting for this season. It depends on how they handle it in the end of this season. Specifically, this is for the back half of the season, as well as some news as to where they're up to filming in this season episode wise, and also some stuff around the cast, that being the former series regulars that came back for a handful of episodes in this fourth and final season. But the first thing to go over in this video is the brand new casting for this season, which has to do with Lex Luthor's crew and Luthor Corp, which is exciting. The Luthor Corp bit is exciting. That's the thing I want to focus on there. Now, I am going to read Entertainment Weekly's report on this, as they have a lot of the important information, both in regards to the show and, the lead up from the comic into the show, just within their article. Just better to use their things. So let's read thy words from Entertainment Weekly. Major trouble is coming for the Kent family on Superman and Lois. The CW's last remaining comic book series has cast Kung Fu alum Yvonne Chapman as Amanda McCoy. Pause there. I forgot that show got cancelled. I forgot that was a part of the cull that the CW did in the past year or so. I thought that was still going for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, EW can exclusively reveal that whole thing I just said before. I paused at a weird time. Anyway, the recurring character is described as intelligent, cunning, and loyal, and is Lex Luthor's most trusted ally in his vendetta against Superman and Lois Lane. Amanda is the acting leader of Luthor Corp in Lex's absence, and her business savvy and cutthroat nature have brought the company to new heights. According to the official description, little is known about her mysterious past, but she's the only one in Luthor's inner circle that he views as an equal, which makes her a massive threat to the Kents and anyone else who stands in her way. While Amanda is a minor character in the comics, she is one of the only people who figured out Superman's secret identity. While working as a scientist at LexCorp, she revealed her discovery to Lex that Superman is actually reporter Clark Kent. But since Lex couldn't believe that Superman would choose to live as a human, he fired Amanda and didn't act on her intel. If the show does draw inspiration from the source material, Amanda could be a very big problem for Clark and Lois this season, in addition to the season 3 finale cliffhanger where Lex turned Bizarro into an unkillable doomsday and he fought Superman in a destructive battle royale that ended up on the moon. Chapman is best known for playing the cunning assassin Xilan on Kung Fu. She can also currently be seen as a legendary warrior avatar Kyoshi on Netflix's new live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was recently renewed for seasons 2 and 3, so that might be where some of you might know her from, because that show was incredibly popular, or at least a lot of people watched at least a few episodes of it. Now, overall, I think this casting is very interesting. We were sort of waiting to see if we'd get anything like this, because there was no real casting announcements for this season outside of the fact that the series regulars returning, and then some of those characters that were in Lex Luthor's crew from the end of last season were also coming back, but there was no massive new casting. So we're all wondering, is there going to be any things? And we're waiting and waiting. When you were over the halfway point roughly for the season, still no announcements, but we had talked about that maybe these new castings would come once those former series regulars leave, and then you need to get the story going along, and we might dive either into Metropolis or more specifically, really, really focus on Lex Luthor and him being this antagonist, which would then bring in these new characters, which would, of course, then lead to new castings and stuff like that. And that seems to be what's happening here. I don't know if we're going to get any more outside of this character of Amanda McCoy. We might not. That's a wait and see. I don't know. Flip of the coin, probably. But alongside those like new castings potentially, we were wondering if the business side or just Luthor Corps as a whole was going to be coming back into play this season with Lex now out of prison and potentially wanting to return to where he left off. So this is a good sign, but of course he's not going to be, returning to where he left off, because as the description does say, this Amanda character has gone, I'm going to be even better, and she's improved the company. It's even bigger than it was. It's in these new heights, as it said in the description there. So Lex might come in and it's much bigger than when he left it, or it might just be like slightly bigger. Maybe there was like certain things that he was working on that Amanda, while he was in prison, improved upon, whatever, departments they might be, which could be a big reveal on this season, and could be something really focused on like maybe taking down the Superman, which would be pretty exciting to see. Now, of course, as some of you might be thinking after the description and reading them out, you might be wondering to yourself, well, hold on, are they going to do that whole, like Amanda learns that Superman is Clark Kent in the season, or maybe she already knows? Are they going to do that? I don't know. That's definitely a possibility. Like, I mean, the Entertainment Weekly article does discuss, or at least poses the question of, could that happen? And I'm posing the question, well, could that happen? And I always like the thought that maybe Lex knows that Clark is Superman, but just doesn't say it out loud. And that's even like this whole thing, even in the comics, where he fires her when she presents it. He's like, no, he's a reporter. But it's more like him just getting rid of her so she doesn't keep spreading the thing and he doesn't go along with it. So she dismisses it as well. I sort of like the idea that Lex just knows, but just doesn't want to say it publicly or even just reassure himself that that's the truth. But in his head, he's like, I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I'm not going to dive too much, more deep into it. And also with this Amanda character, if she is as loyal to Lex as the description of the character is stating, it will be very interesting to see how that possibly impacts Lois and maybe her public perception. As we have brought up a couple of times, that is one thing that season 3 really didn't even get to address because of everything that went down very quickly after Lex got out of prison. And now that Lex is out and proven innocent, how is Lois now perceived publicly as a journalist? Lex was innocent. She was the one that really put the article there and sort of nailed the coffin shut, if you want to put it. How is she perceived now that Lex is out? Does Lex try and do like a campaign against her? Or maybe Amanda tries to rub some salt in the wound there, maybe in a public sense or even just behind the scenes as well. It would be very interesting to see. I'm very curious about that. They might not do anything with it, but I'd like to think that they might. But we'll wait and see. Now, it appears that this Amanda character is maybe starting her run as the character in like episode 6 or 7 at least, based off this announcement, though she could already, have already started filming potentially. Sometimes when these casting announcements, they're announced as they're about to film their first episode, and sometimes they're just announced because maybe they're going to be filmed in public and there's a chance that it might get out there. You don't know. You don't know exactly. I think even like last season when they announced, who was it? They announced, I can't remember the actor. I think it might have been the actor playing Onomatopoeia, maybe. She'd been filming for a bit, and then they announced that she was playing this character and stuff like that. She'd already been filming for a few episodes, so that could be the same case here. But speaking of episode counts, Bitsy Tulloch, who of course plays Lois Lane, did say that they're officially halfway through filming for season 4, which should mean they're at the end of episode 5, probably about to jump into episode 6. Whether that means they finished episode 5 or they're in like the last couple days, I don't know. But that's the halfway point, of course. There's 10 episodes. Half of 10 is 5. But speaking of jumping into the end of things, Indy Navarrete, who of course plays Sarah Cushing, is heading into the filming of her final episode. So I'm assuming if they've just finished episode 5 or are about to, her last episode is episode 6, unless she flew back up just to do some final things for episode 5. But I would assume it's episode 6. So it appears that she is appearing in, I think, the range of episodes 3 through to 6, though there might be an episode there where she's not in it. That would be, of course, 4 episodes, which did line up with what we thought. We're going to be like some of these like main series regulars that aren't coming back, if that makes sense, that the ones that have more focus, like Sarah, maybe like Lana, would get 3 to 4 episodes. And of course, like John Henry and stuff, they might get 3 to 4 episodes. But then someone like General Lane, we know he's only in 2 episodes by the sounds of it. So it was never going to go like to 5 or 6 episodes. It was always going to be a minority of the episodes for the season. But it seems like at least most of these series regulars are probably going to be in about 4 episodes, though Indy Navigator is the only one we have confirmation for at this point. So when it comes to these other series regulars outside of General Lane, because we know he's only in 2 episodes, we know that the Ironses of Natalie and John Henry, they weren't in the first episode that the Cushings were, which I'm pretty sure was episode 3, but it also might have been episode 2. So either their first episode is probably either episode 3 or 4 as well, which means they might also stay on for another episode after this, or maybe they finish at the same time. That's a wait and see. But because of all this, with all these like former series regulars wrapping up either around episode 6 or 7, most likely episode 6 for most of them, the final 4 episodes of this 4th and final season, episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10, seem like they're going to be purely, or for the most part, be purely the Kent family and Luther's crew, now with this addition of Amanda McCoy in there as well. So, I did see there was like people not necessarily happy that some of these former series regulars were coming back, but I was thinking that's going to be in the first half, and then the back half will be very like full on, and they'd be building up to this big ending. But I think it's also that those characters deserve some sort of a proper ending rather than just being cut off completely by the end of season 3, where it itself is a cliffhanger of a season. So yeah, I'm happy with how this is shaping up so far. We were concerned about 10 episodes and everything like that, but I'm like, it doesn't really matter how many episodes your season is, as long as you can manage it well and the story warrants that. I understand like 10 episodes for a final season can worry some people, but it's not like the show's gone on for 8 seasons and stuff like that. They should still be able to do a good job here. I trust the writers and everything around the show. The budget's probably the only concern, but we also don't know how it's necessarily going to affect the show because we haven't seen any examples of it yet. That's going to be us for we're going to have to wait for a trailer to get any sort of like hint and suggestion of that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what we have so far. This edition of Amanda McCoy sounds pretty fun and also a bit nefarious at the same time, considering what she could be doing both behind the scenes and just straight up in front of Lois Lane and Superman, potentially alongside Lex Luthor. But yeah, we'll wait and see how it plays out, but I'm looking forward to it based off what we see here. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. We could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on the stuff we wanted in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.